My sister told her husband she had a twin brother who died at birth. She lied for 10 years, accidentally exposed it at a party, and now somehow I'm the villain? I usually just lurk around here, but something happened tonight that has me completely confused and honestly a little unsettled. I'm not sure if I'm overthinking it or if I stepped into something without realizing, so maybe writing it all out will help me get some clarity. I'm the eldest of 4 sisters. We're stair-stepped, each 2 years apart. I'm Meg, 38. Then there's Joe, 36, Beth, 34, and Amy, 32. Growing up, our house was full of laughter, chaos, and an endless supply of hand-me-downs. And, of course, no boys. My parents used to joke that they kept trying for a boy and finally gave up after girl number 4. It wasn't the kindest joke, especially for Amy, who always seemed a bit more sensitive about it. But eventually, they stopped making it and assured us they loved their daughters just the way we were. Now that we're grown, every one of us has at least one daughter of our own. I'm the only one who also has a son. He's 17 now, the eldest grandchild, and incredibly close to my dad. When I say they're best friends, I mean it. They go fishing, fix up old lawn equipment together, even have an ongoing inside joke about squirrels that none of us understand. It's adorable, honestly. So, tonight was supposed to be all about celebrating my son. He recently got accepted to a really prestigious university, full ride. He worked hard for it, he's ridiculously smart, and we're all incredibly proud. My parents wanted to host a little family get-together to honor him. Nothing extravagant. Just pizza, cake, and all the cousins running around in the backyard. Getting all 4 families with 11 kids between them in the same room is practically a miracle in itself. At some point during dinner, Amy brought up that it was National Sibling Appreciation Day. Mom, being the sentimental type, loved the idea and asked us all to say something we appreciated about our sisters. We went youngest to oldest, so Amy started, and I went last. I told each of them how much I loved them, how much I admired them. I thanked Amy for her big heart, Beth for her patience, and Joe for always being the glue that holds everyone together. And then, just as a little throwback to our childhood, I ended with a lighthearted comment. And I really appreciate that we didn't have any gross boys stinking up our house growing up. Now, in my head, it was just a silly callback to the kind of things we used to say as kids when we formed our own little No Boys Allowed club. I figured everyone would get the joke and laugh along. Joe and Amy both chuckled, and Mom smiled. But Beth's eyes went wide like I'd just dropped a racial slur or something. And her husband, Chase, looked at me with this disgusted, tight-lipped expression like I was something he'd scraped off his shoe. I didn't say anything else right away, because I was caught off guard. It was just a joke, wasn't it? But Beth didn't join in the laughter. She didn't say anything at all, really. She just sat there, quiet, eyes darting between me and Chase like she was waiting for one of us to do something. Now I'm sitting here hours later, replaying everything in my head, wondering what the hell happened. Did I cross some invisible line? Did Chase take it personally, as if I was insulting him or my own son? Was it about their son? Wait, no, they don't have a son. Just a daughter, like the rest of us. So what was it? I've always had a good relationship with Beth, or at least I thought I did. Sure, she's quieter, a little more sensitive than the rest of us, but we've never really clashed. And Chase has always been polite, distant but polite. Now I'm wondering if there's something going on beneath the surface. Was it just an overreaction? Or have I been unknowingly pushing buttons I didn't even realize were there? All I know is that what should have been a fun, loving family celebration now feels weirdly tense. Like there's something I missed completely. And the worst part is I don't know how or even if I should bring it up. Was it just a harmless joke? Or did I say something truly hurtful without realizing it? I hate the idea that I might have hurt Beth or made Chase feel unwelcome in a family that's always been tight-knit. But I also don't want to tiptoe around every word I say just because someone chooses to hear it the wrong way. So there I was, standing over the sink up to my elbows in cake plates and red Solo cups, trying to shake off the disaster of a night that just unfolded in what was supposed to be a celebration for my son. Instead, it turned into an impromptu episode of Family Secrets, Deluxe Edition. I mean, what the actual hell? Let's rewind that train wreck real quick. I make a joke, a dumb, harmless, throwaway joke, about how I appreciated not growing up with gross boys stinking up our house. It got a laugh, as it always does. It's practically tradition at this point. But suddenly, Chase, Beth's husband, gets all stiff and throws out, "That's pretty messed up." I thought he was joking at first, so I made a joke back. I said something like, "I don't know, Chase. I've smelled you after your workouts. It's pretty bad." Harmless banter, right? Wrong. His face drops like a rock and he hits me with, "How could you talk about Tyler like that?" Cue record scratch. Cue blinking cartoon question marks over my head. Who is Tyler?" I asked, because genuinely, I had no clue what he was talking about. And then, Beth loses her absolute mind. She's grabbing at his arm, whisper hissing at him to stop talking, begging him to just go, that they need to leave now. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just sitting there in stunned silence. Like, did someone drop acid in the root beer? Chase, bless his tactless heart, blurts out that Tyler was Beth's twin, and he died during childbirth. That apparently it was so traumatic that our parents and I were all so devastated, we agreed never to talk about him again. Ever. Not one word. Beth had apparently told Chase that this was a long-established family agreement and that it was taboo to mention him. What the hell? Because let me be real with you, I have zero recollection of a twin. Not a funeral. Not a name. Not even a whisper in the attic on a rainy day. There was no Tyler in my childhood. Beth never said a word about him to me. And we were close. Grew up in the same room, played with the same toys, went through all the sister stuff. I was 16 when she was born. If something like that happened, I would have known. So I looked Chase right in the eye and yeah, I said it. "I don't know why Beth lied to you about this, but I think you two need to talk about it privately. Right now, we're here to celebrate my son, not rehash some family lore I've never even heard of." And like clockwork, Beth burst into tears and ran down the hall into her old bedroom like she was 13 again. Chase stomped after her like he was ready to scold me in stereo, and Mom and Joe shuffled in after them like it was a very special episode of a 90s sitcom. The rest of the night? Dead. Absolutely no recovering. They left soon after, still red-faced and whisper why. I stayed behind with my dad and my son, both of whom were confused and upset, but trying to play it cool. I cleaned up to avoid pacing the kitchen like a maniac. That's when my mom cornered me by the dishwasher. She scolded me. Hard. Told me I shouldn't have called Beth a liar, that it was unnecessary and unfair, and that I embarrassed her in front of her husband. I literally paused mid-scrub and stared at her like, seriously? Because, let's be honest, if the baby's shoe fits, wear it, mother. My dad, for what it's worth, said I wasn't wrong, but that maybe I could have been softer about it. Softer? With what? Interpretive dance. The woman made up an entire sibling. A twin. She let her husband believe that we all carried this deep, collective grief and had conspired to never speak of it. Like some Victorian-era ghost boy was haunting the family tree and we all took a blood oath of silence. And now I'm the villain? After I got home, Beth texted me. Said I messed her up over. That was it. No explanation, no context, just that. Then I got another message. This time from Chase's number. It said I was the actual liar sister and everyone knows it. Whatever that means. My guess? He's pissed and embarrassed. Probably also confused. I can't really blame him for that. Amy's on my side, but let's be real, she and Beth have butted heads since they were in diapers. Their relationship is a battlefield paved in glitter and passive aggression. Joe says she's staying neutral, but she did make a point to tell me I didn't have to call Beth out like that. Okay, maybe. But what was I supposed to do? Pretend I did know about Tyler? Just nod and play along while the mood of my son's party tanked into oblivion? Absolutely not. I'm trying to give Beth grace here. If she fabricated this because of something unresolved or painful from her past, I want her to get the help she needs. I do. But that doesn't mean I have to sit here and let her detonate emotional landmines in the middle of my kid's milestone moment. I honestly don't know where we go from here. I don't even know if I want to go anywhere from here. All I know is I'm exhausted, confused, and now apparently the family scapegoat. All for speaking the truth when no one else would. What the hell else was I supposed to do? Just stand there and let Beth spin fiction while I smiled through it? Just nod along while Chase looked at me like I was a monster for cracking a joke I've said a dozen times? Honestly, I keep going over it in my head, trying to figure out what the correct response would have been in that moment. But every version of this ends with me being somehow painted as the villain for not playing along. And seriously, why is everyone acting like calling out the lie is somehow worse than the lie itself? I didn't scream. I didn't humiliate. I stated facts. Bluntly, yeah, but not cruelly. Yet I walked away from the night feeling like I'd just committed some kind of sisterly war crime. And that confusion and frustration sat on my chest like a damn cinder block all night. I barely slept. My heart wouldn't calm down. I woke up with my blood pressure so high I could feel it in my ears. So this morning, I did what I usually try not to do. I called my mom while I was still emotionally charged and fully ready to go nuclear. My plan was to lay it all out, tell her how I felt thrown under the bus, how unfair it was for me to be scolded while Beth got to spiral without consequence. I wanted her to hear the tremble in my voice, the hurt in my gut, and understand just how messed up this all was. But before I could even get into my opening monologue, she answered the phone with a tired voice and said, "Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Please just listen first." So I did. She told me that when she and Joe went into the bedroom with Beth and Chase, she did tell Chase the truth. That Tyler was not real, that it was something Beth created, and that this was between the two of them. She told them both they needed to leave before the night was completely ruined, that the moment wasn't about them. And apparently, she'd been dealing with the fallout ever since. She admitted that, yes, she got onto me last night, but not because she thought I was wrong. She said she was overwhelmed, Beth was sobbing, and she defaulted into comfort mode. She felt bad for her, and in that moment, she thought I'd be the one strong enough to take the heat without crumbling. That stung a little. Like, why do I always have to be the one who's sturdy? Why do I get to be the emotional punching bag because I don't explode or collapse? Still, I appreciated her saying it, owning it. She apologized. Genuinely. And then she dropped the big one. She said she spoke with Chase this morning, and apparently, Beth finally came clean. After hours of denying it and spinning new versions of the story, she finally admitted that Tyler never existed, that she made him up, that she'd kept it going for years. And of course, she's the one who sent me that nasty message from Chase's phone. Not exactly a shocking reveal, but still, it stung. That text hit me hard last night, not just because it was cruel, but because it didn't feel like Chase. And turns out it wasn't. Now, there's some context I didn't think was relevant to all this until now, but maybe it matters more than I realized. Beth's eldest daughter, Madison, isn't Chase's biological child. He's been in her life since she was 2, and he's raised her like his own. He's never once treated her differently. And that matters. It really does. Because it gives you an idea of who Chase is at his core, the kind of man who steps in, sticks around, and shows up. Also worth mentioning, Chase is a first responder. Firefighter. EMT. The kind of guy who runs toward danger while the rest of us are running away. He lives for purpose, for action, for helping. It's part of his identity. He met Beth while doing victim advocacy. She was volunteering, he was running point on an awareness campaign. We've all said, in not so many words, that Beth sees Chase as her rescuer, her hero. And Chase, well, he loves being seen that way. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It works for them. But it is relevant. Because when you factor all of that in, this lie, this deep, identity-rooted lie, starts to look more like a manipulation of that dynamic. Maybe not consciously. Maybe not maliciously. But still, Beth created a version of herself where she came from this immense childhood trauma, where Chase walked in and helped her heal something no one else could, where the family had buried grief so deep that only he was allowed to carry a piece of it. And when that story got threatened by a joke of all things, it all came crashing down. I don't know what happens next. Beth hasn't called me. She hasn't texted anything else. Chase hasn't either. Joe is still neutral, whatever that means, and Amy is pissed, but mostly keeping to herself. All I know is I feel like I've been shoved into the eye of a tornado and asked to smile for a family photo. I want peace. I want clarity. And damn it, I want to believe that we can still be the tight-knit, loud, messy, loving group of sisters we've always been. But right now, that feels far away.